Hello everyone, this is part 5 for the past year NIT questions of the chapter Molecular Basis of Inheritance. So let's begin. The first question was asked in the year 2004. In a mutational event when adenine is replaced by guanine. So what is happening? Adenine is replaced by guanine. So both adenine and guanines are what? Purines. Okay, so a particular purine is replaced by another purine. So what is this case? Is it a case of frameshift mutation? Is it transcription? It is transition or it is transversion. So what is the right answer when a purine is replaced by a purine? It is a transition. Okay, in transition substitution, a purine is replaced by another purine base, A with G or vice versa. What happens in transversion? Transversion substitution, a purine is replaced by a pyrimidine base or vice versa. Okay, so remember the difference between the transition and the transversion. In transition, purine is substituted by another purine base, and transversion, purine is substituted by pyrimidine or pyrimidine is substituted by a purine. What is a frameshift mutation? So frameshift mutation is a type of mutation where the reading of codons is changed due to an insertion or deletion of the nucleotides. For example, let's say this is the sequence of DNA, and now there is addition of a nucleotide. For example, this is the DNA. And now there is addition of a particular nucleotide in DNA, and correspondingly in mRNA, there will be addition of one nucleotide. So the frame of reading of codon will shift, and that is why it is called a frame shift mutation. Okay. And transition is formation of RNA over the template of DNA. Transcription. Okay. So the right answer here is option number C, transition. The telomeres of eukaryotic chromosome consist of short sequences of thymine-rich repeats, cytosine-rich repeats, adenine-rich repeats or guanine-rich repeats. So what is the right answer? If you have studied about the telomeres, you know that the right answer is option C, adenine-rich repeats. Okay, so telomeres are the non-sticky terminal ends of the chromosomes. It has heterochromatin and repetitive DNA that is rich in adenines. Okay, so you must remember. And these telomeres, where are they added? They are added at the 3' ends of the DNA by the enzyme telomerase, which is a ribonucleoprotein. Okay, so the right answer here is C, adenine rich repeats are added to the ends of telomeres, are added in telomeres. Okay, which are ends, which are added at the 3' ends. During replication of a bacterial chromosome, DNA synthesis starts from a replication origin site and RNA primers are involved, is facilitated by telomeres, moves in one direction of the site, moves in bidirectional way. So read the question again. They are asking you about bacterial chromosome, okay, not about the eukaryotic chromosome. So what happens in case of bacterial chromosome? Origin starts, the replication starts and then it moves bidirectionally, okay. Then there is a formation of what? Replication bubble. You remember this diagram, right? So then there is formation of this replication bubble. So the right answer here is replication begins at the ori, which is origin of replication, and proceeds on both sides from the ori. You see, it proceeds. This is the ori here, origin of replication, and then it proceeds in the both directions. Unidirectional replication is rare. RNA primers are involved in both prokaryotes as well as in case of eukaryotes. So the right answer is B. During translation initiation in prokaryotes, a GTP molecule is needed in association of 50S subunit of ribosome with the initiation complex, formation of formyl meth tRNA, binding of 30S subunit of ribosome with mRNA, association of 30S mRNA with formyl methionine tRNA. So what is the right answer here? The right answer is here, association of 30S mRNA with formyl meth tRNA. For the formation of initiation complex during translation of mRNA, GTP is also required. Okay, the initiator AUG codes for formyl methionine in case of prokaryote. So association of 30S mRNA with formyl meth RNA. You know, this chapter and especially the process of translation has a lot of enzymes and everything. You know, what binds to what. So always go through the diagrams from this chapter and try to form your own diagram, you know, that has the entire process, and then you will remember it. Go through it multiple times and then you will remember it and you will be able to answer such kinds of questions. So the right answer is D. Which one of the following triplet codes is correctly matched with its specificity for an amino acid in protein synthesis or a start and stop codon? You know, if you have been following the previous videos of this chapter, it was already mentioned, you know, that it is very important that you learn, you know, all of these. Okay. So that you can answer. If you don't know, you will not be able to answer. So which one of the following is correctly matched? Okay. Is it UAC tyrosine? Is it UCG start? So what is the start codon? I think that is the easiest and everybody should remember. So the start codon is AUG. So this option is wrong. UUU as the stop codon? No. What are the three stop codons? UAA, UAG and UGA. So these are the three stop codons. So this is also the wrong option. And UGU does not code for leucine. Okay. So the right option here is A, tyrosine. AUG is the initiation codon, UCG codes for serine, UUU codes for phenylalanine and UGU codes for cysteine. Okay, so just try to remember these codons. It can be a bit difficult, but you know what happens, like when more than one codon codes for a particular amino acid, then there is always degeneracy at the third position. Okay, so the first two nucleotides will be always same. Okay, so just try to remember in that way, and there will be difference only on the third one when multiple codons code for one amino acid. Okay, and what is this called? When some amino acids are coded by more than one codon, this is called as the degenerate nature. But okay, this is just a revision, you know, away from the question that we are right now answering. But that is how, you know, you can really remember the sequence of the codons, that when one amino acid is coded by multiple codons, there is always change only in the third position. Okay. But for here, the right answer is A, UAC codes for tyrosine. What would happen if in a gene encoding a polypeptide of 50 amino acid, 25th codon UAU is mutated to UAA? So for this purpose, you know, first of all, you need to know that UAA is a stop codon. And if now stop codon is present, a premature transcript will be formed. A premature polypeptide will be formed, okay, during the process of translation. So if a gene encoding a polypeptide of 50 amino acid, the 25th codon. So if it is 50 amino acids, there will be 50 codons. And now the 25th is a stop codon. So how many codons will be synthesized? 24 amino acids will be synthesized by the 24 codons. So a polypeptide of 25 amino acids will be formed. A polypeptide of 24 amino acids will be formed. Two polypeptides of 24 and 25 amino acids will form? No, this will never happen. A polypeptide of 49? No. So, okay, the only difference is you need to know that UAA is the stop codon, and if you know, then it is very easy to answer, and don't get confused between option A and option B, okay, because the 25th codon is the stop codon itself, and stop codon will not be translated. So, only 24 amino acids will be formed. So, the right answer is option B. UAA is a stop codon. Therefore, at 25th amino acid, the synthesis of polypeptide stops. Okay. So, a polypeptide of 24 amino acid is formed. So, now these are like application based questions. If you know the concept, these questions are very, very easy to answer. The right option is B. In a genetic code dictionary, how many codons are used to code for all the 21 essential amino acids? Is it 60, is it 20, is it 64, or is it 61? So what are the total number of codons? Total number of codons is 64, but they are asking how many are used to code for the 20 essential amino acid, and out of these 3 are stop codons. So you subtract them and the right answer is 61. Okay, so you should remember this. This is a very important thing that you should remember. Out of total of 64 codons, 3 do not make any sense because these are stop codons. And which are these? UAA, UAG and UGA. Just remember, just try to remember UAA, UAG, UGA. And if you repeat it multiple times, it will get into your head. Hence, only 61 codons are used in the formation of the 20 essential amino acids or the polypeptides. Okay, so just remember that. The right option is D. Degeneration of a genetic code is attributed to third member of codon, first member of codon, second member of codon, entire codon. And what is the degenerate nature of the genetic code? Degenerate nature of the genetic code is that some amino acids are coded by more than one codon. And if you remember, we previously had a discussion that when a particular amino acid is coded by more than one codon, they generally have the same sequence on the first two nucleotides. So the degeneracy is decided by the third one. Okay. So the right option is option A, third member of a codon. According to the wobble hypothesis, tRNA anticodon has the ability to wobble at its 5' by pairing with even non-complementary bases of mRNA codon. So we know this, right? So this is the mRNA and then this is the anticodon loop of tRNA. So they say that 5' end can basically, and this is the sequence of codons, like it's in this direction. So at this particular position, it has the capability of wobbling, which means that these two interactions, this is complementary base pairing. So the complementary base pairing between these will be very, very strong. However, at this position, it is not strong and therefore it wobbles. Therefore, the best thing is if it wobbles, then these two are always constant for one amino acid, and even if this changes, it doesn't matter that much. Therefore, it corresponds to the third base degeneracy of the codons. Okay, is it clear? If this concept is not clear, just rewind it and go through it again. Okay, you can also read it from your chapter. But just remember that the first two positions of a codon-anticodon interaction is very, very strong. It only wobbles at the third one, which is the 5' end of the anticodon loop of tRNA. Therefore, the third member of the codon can be degenerate. Okay, so it can be multiple. And that is why that doesn't make much difference even if it wobbles, because the first two have a very strong interaction. So the right option is A. Out of 64 codons, 61 code for 20 types of amino acid, and this is called, we just discussed in the previous question, is it degeneracy, is it overlapping, is it wobbling, or is it universality? So out of the 64 codons, 61 code for 20 types of amino acids, and the right answer is A, degeneracy of the genetic code. Don't confuse now with the wobbling of the codon here, okay, because wobbling is interaction between mRNA and tRNA. It has nothing to do with the genetic code. Out of 64 codons, only 3 signify stop codons. There are more than one codon for most of the amino acid. The genetic code is non-overlapping. 3 successive nucleotides or base nucleotides for only one amino acid. Wobbling refers to the third base degeneracy, as we discussed in the previous question. But 61 codons codes for 20 types of amino acid, which means one amino acid can be coded by more than one codon, and this is the degeneracy. And what is like something confusing with this? It is unambiguous nature. And what is the unambiguous nature? Unambiguous nature means that one codon will always code for one amino acid. So also you should be very clear between these two concepts, okay? You should know what is degeneracy and you should know what is unambiguous nature. So for this question, the right answer is A. Don't get confused with wobbling, okay? Because that is mRNA-tRNA interaction. That is like a concept that derived from the degeneracy. But 61 codons code for 20 types of amino acid. This is degeneracy of the genetic code. Exon part of mRNA have code for. This is a very easy question. So what is the exon part? Exon part of mRNA have the code for protein, lipid, carbohydrate or phospholipid. So what is the right answer? It is protein, right? Exons are coding part of the mRNA that codes for protein. So the right answer is option A. Types of RNA polymerase required in nucleus for RNA synthesis. How many types of RNA polymerase are there and what all we need for RNA synthesis? So we have already, discussed this in the previous. So how many types of RNA polymerase are required? 1, 2, 3 or 4? The right answer is 3 different types of RNA polymerases are required. Okay, eukaryotes have 3 types of RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase 1, it is found in the nucleus and responsible for rRNA synthesis. RNA polymerase 2, it is found in nucleoplasm and responsible for mRNA synthesis. Then RNA polymerase 3, it is found again in nucleoplasm and is responsible for tRNA and 5S RNA synthesis. Okay, so just remember this. We have discussed this previously also, but if you missed it, just remember this. It is a very important concept. So the right option is option C. Genes and cistron words are sometimes used synonymously because one cistron contains many genes, one gene contains many cistron, one gene contains one cistron, one gene contains no cistron. A confusing question, but what is the right answer? Genes and cistrons are sometimes used interchangeably because one gene contains one cistron. Okay, cistron is that segment of DNA which specifies synthesis of polypeptide. Okay, and also a gene segment is a sequence that will ultimately code for amino acids that form a polypeptide. That is why they can be sometimes used interchangeably or synonymously. So the right option is C. Mutations generally produce polygenes, dominant genes, recessive genes or lethal genes. So what is the right answer? If there is a mutation out of the current options, it can lead to lethal genes. Okay, so what is a polygene? Polygene is a gene, single dominant allele of which expresses only a unit of trait. Lethal genes on expression stop producing vital products essential for survival of an individual. Okay, so that is what mutations will produce. It will produce lethal genes. Right option is D. Protein synthesis occurs on ribosomes present in cytosol as well as in mitochondria. Only on ribosomes attached to the nuclear envelope and endoplasmic reticulum. Only on the ribosomes present in cytosol, on ribosomes present in nucleolus as well as cytoplasm. So what happens? The process of translation takes place inside the nucleus. So this is, for example, the whole cell structure. The process of transcription takes place inside the nucleus and then there is endoplasmic reticulum and then there are ribosomes here. So the protein synthesis takes place only on ribosomes attached to the nuclear envelope and endoplasmic reticulum. If you don't know this, just make note of this, okay? Because ribosomes are present also otherwise, okay? They are present in the cytosol, but they have different roles. Protein synthesis will occur only on ribosomes attached to the nuclear envelope and endoplasmic reticulum, and this is because we know that the mRNA transcript is formed in the nucleus and then the process of protein synthesis takes place in the cytosol. and then the mRNA is transported out, and then this is the endoplasmic reticulum, and then the ribosomes attached to endoplasmic reticulum will cause protein synthesis. One function of the telomere in a chromosome is to identify the correct number of homologous pairs of chromosomes? No. Help two chromatids to move towards the pole? No. Seal the ends of chromosome? Yes. Start RNA synthesis? No. So the right answer is option number C. Seal the ends of chromosome. The telomere is a ribonucleoprotein complex composed of a protein component and an RNA primer sequence which acts to protect the terminal ends of chromosomes. This prevents chromosomal disintegration. Okay, it will prevent the disintegration of the chromosome and prevent the ends of the chromosome from being processed as a double-stranded DNA break, which could lead to chromosome to chromosome telomere fusion. Okay, so that is why sealing of the ends of the chromosome is very important, so that it is not recognized as a double-stranded break, and that is the function of the telomeres. So the right answer is option C. So we will also see more questions in the upcoming videos. Okay, and thank you for watching the video.